Close your eyes and gently allow the weight of this day to fall away. Let your body sink deeper into the place where you rest, where you are safe, where nothing is required of you anymore. The world outside can wait. The noise, the questions, the unfinished thoughts, they can all soften now, like distant echoes fading into a quiet night. Tonight, we are not rushing anywhere. We are not striving. We are simply arriving. Hello, and welcome to this Divine Slumber Bible bedtime story. My name is your guide for this evening, and I will walk with you slowly, gently, into a place far beyond the worries of today, into a place few have ever seen, yet one that has always been real. A place of light, of stillness, of overwhelming peace. There are moments scattered across history when heaven itself draws near, when the veil between what is seen and unseen becomes thin, almost weightless, and a human soul is invited to witness something eternal. Not in comfort, not in certainty, but in moments of deep need. A grieving prophet standing in a silent temple, an exile sitting beside a quiet river in a foreign land, a faithful servant lying awake in the darkness of night, an old disciple alone on a forgotten island. 4 men, 4 lives, 4 moments of brokenness. And yet, in each of those moments, heaven opened. Tonight, you are invited into that same mystery. You do not need to see with your eyes. You do not need to understand everything. You only need to listen and allow your heart to rest. Because the truth that was revealed to them is still true now. God is still on his throne. He is not distant. He is not silent. He is not unaware. He sees you. He knows you. And even now, as you lie here, he is watching over you with a quiet, unwavering care. So let your breathing slow. Inhale gently and exhale softly. Feel the calm begin to settle, like a soft night sky stretching endlessly above you, filled with quiet stars that shimmer without sound. Tonight's journey is not just a story. It is an invitation to step beyond the weight of this world, to move past the noise, past the fear, past the questions, and into a place where everything is held, everything is known, everything is at peace. And as we walk together, slowly, gently into that sacred space, you may find something beginning to change, the tension easing, the mind quieting, the heart softening. Because in the presence of the one who reigns above all things, there is no need to strive, only to rest. So stay here. Breathe slowly now, and allow yourself to be carried, word by word, into stillness. And in this very moment, open your heart and receive the peace that is coming. I invite you now to gently settle into the place where you are. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go, no one you need to become in this moment. Just be here, quietly, fully, without expectation. Allow your body to rest exactly as it is. If something feels slightly uncomfortable, take a moment now to adjust, gently shifting your pillow, moving your shoulders, stretching just a little until your body begins to feel supported, held, at ease. Pull your blanket closer or let it loosen, whatever feels right to you. Let the space around you grow softer. If there is light, allow it to dim. If there is sound, let it drift into the background. If there is movement, let it slow, until everything around you begins to match the stillness within you. Good. Now, bring your awareness inward. Notice your breath, not forcing it, not controlling it, just noticing the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the quiet rhythm that has carried you through every moment of this day. Now, slowly begin to deepen it. Take a long, slow breath in through your nose, filling your lungs, gently, completely. Hold it just for a moment, and then exhale, softly, slowly, letting everything go without effort. Again, inhale, calm, steady, unhurried. And exhale, long, soft, releasing. With every breath out, imagine the weight of the day leaving your body, like dust being carried away by a gentle wind. You are safe. God is watching over you. Now, let us begin to relax your body. Slowly, gently, from the top all the way down. Bring your attention to your forehead. If there is any tightness, any lingering tension, allow it to melt away. Let your brow smooth, as though a soft warmth is resting there, easing every line, every worry. Your eyes. They have seen so much today. Now they can rest. Let the muscles around them soften, your eyelids heavy, calm, still. Your cheeks, your jaw, if there is any tightness, let it go. Allow your jaw to loosen, your teeth slightly apart, your tongue resting gently. No effort, no holding, just release. Now your neck. Feel it letting go, releasing the subtle tension it may have carried. Allow it to sink deeper into the surface beneath you, supported without strain. Your shoulders. Notice if they are holding anything, stress, pressure, responsibility. Now gently let them fall. Let them drop, slowly, naturally, as if everything you carried today is being lifted away, piece by piece. You do not need to carry it tonight. God is holding it for you. Your arms. From your shoulders down to your elbows, your wrists, your hands, let them become heavy, warm, still. Your fingers resting softly, no longer reaching, no longer doing, just resting. Now your chest. Feel your breath moving, slow, calm, steady. If there is any tightness here, any emotion lingering, do not resist it. Just let it soften with each exhale. You are safe. You are held. Your back. From the upper spine down through the middle to the lower back, let it relax completely. Every muscle unwinding, slowly, gently, as though the surface beneath you is carrying all your weight, effortlessly. Your stomach. Let it soften. No need to hold, no need to brace. Just release. Nothing is coming to disturb your peace. Now your hips, your thighs. Feel them becoming heavier, more grounded, as though you are sinking deeper, supported fully. Your knees, your calves, softening, relaxing, letting go. And now, your feet, all the way down to your toes. Let them rest completely, still, quiet, at ease. Your entire body now, from head to toe, relaxed, supported, at peace. Breathe slowly now. Inhale and exhale. Each breath like a gentle wave washing over you, calming you, carrying you deeper into rest. If thoughts begin to appear, and they may, do not follow them. Do not resist them. Just let them drift, like clouds moving across a quiet night sky. They come and they go, and you remain still, at peace. There is nothing you need to solve right now, nothing you need to understand, nothing you need to fix. This moment is not for striving, it is for resting. And in this stillness, God is here, closer than your breath, gentler than your thoughts, steady, constant, unchanging. God is watching over you. You are not alone. You have never been alone, even in the quiet, even in the dark, even in the moments no one else sees. He is here. Let that truth settle into your heart, softly, deeply, like a whisper carried on the night air. You are safe. You are held. You are cared for. Breathe slowly. Feel your body growing heavier, your mind becoming quieter, your heart more still, as if you are drifting, gently, effortlessly, floating on a calm, peaceful sea. Nothing rushing you, nothing pulling you away. Just peace. Just rest. Stay here for a moment. Let this stillness deepen. Let this calm surround you completely. And as you continue to breathe, slowly, gently, allow yourself to drift just a little further into this place of quiet, into this place of peace, into this place where your soul can finally rest. And when you are ready, we will continue. Softly, gently, together, into the story. There are moments, rare and quiet, almost hidden within the flow of history, when heaven does not remain distant, when it does not stay veiled behind the unseen, but instead, gently, deliberately, leans down and touches the earth. Not with noise, not with spectacle meant to impress, but with a presence so overwhelming, so undeniable, that the human soul can do nothing but tremble beneath it. These moments do not arrive when life feels easy, when everything is in its place, when the heart is strong and steady. No. They come when the world feels uncertain, when the ground beneath you begins to shift, when questions grow louder than answers, and when the soul, in its quiet desperation, begins to whisper, or perhaps cry out, "Where are you, God?" And it is there, in that fragile space, that something begins to change. Tonight, as you rest, as your breathing slows, imagine yourself standing at the edge of that moment, not rushing, not striving, just standing, waiting, as though the air itself has become still, as though something unseen is drawing near. There were 4 men, separated by centuries, by kingdoms, by circumstances they never chose, and yet bound together by something far deeper than time. They were not kings remembered for their power, nor warriors known for their strength. They were simply men, human, fragile, carrying burdens that pressed heavily upon their hearts. And in the midst of those burdens, heaven opened. Isaiah was one of them. A prophet, yes, but also a man who had watched his people slowly drift away from the God they once loved. He had spoken, warned, pleaded, and still the hearts around him remained distant. And then came the year when King Uzziah died, a year marked by uncertainty, by quiet fear spreading through the streets, by the unsettling realization that what once felt stable was now gone. The throne in Jerusalem stood empty, and the future felt unclear. And Isaiah, carrying the weight of it all, entered the temple, perhaps seeking comfort, perhaps seeking answers, perhaps simply needing to be near God, even if he did not know what to say. And in that moment, when grief and uncertainty filled his heart, heaven did not remain silent. Ezekiel was another, far from home, far from everything familiar, not in a temple, not in a place of worship, but sitting beside a river in a foreign land, an exile, a captive. The city he loved had fallen, the temple had been destroyed, and everything he had believed to be secure had been taken away. The promises of God felt distant, almost unreachable, like something remembered from another life. And as he sat there, watching the quiet movement of the water, perhaps wondering if God had forgotten his people, the sky above him began to shift. Not gently, not quietly, but with a force that could not be ignored. Daniel came later, in the same land of exile, but with a different burden. He had remained faithful, even when it would have been easier not to. He had prayed when it was dangerous, trusted when it was uncertain. And yet, the visions he carried within him were heavy. He had seen kingdoms rise and fall, had glimpsed a future filled with conflict and upheaval, and the weight of knowing pressed upon him in the quiet hours of the night. And as he lay there, between waking and sleep, with questions that had no easy answers, heaven did not turn away from him. And then there was John, old, alone, exiled on an island surrounded by endless water. The world he once knew had changed. Those he had walked beside were gone, one by one, their voices silenced, their lives given up for the truth they refused to deny. The early believers were scattered, hunted, afraid. And John, once surrounded by community, now stood in isolation. The wind, the waves, the quiet. These were his only companions. And yet, even there, even in that loneliness, heaven was not far away. Do you notice it? Each of them, in a moment of breaking, not at the height of strength, but at the edge of weakness. Not when everything made sense, but when almost nothing did. Because the truth is, heaven does not wait for perfection. It does not wait for you to have everything together, for your faith to feel strong, for your heart to be free of doubt. It comes quietly, powerfully, into the very places where you feel most undone. And perhaps, tonight, you understand that feeling. Perhaps there are things you carry, questions that linger, uncertainties that have not yet found their answers. Perhaps there is a quiet weight resting on your heart, something unspoken, something you have tried to set aside, but it remains. If so, you are not far from where they once stood, because it is often there, in that quiet, fragile space, that heaven begins to draw near. Not always with words, not always with explanations, but with presence. A presence that does not rush, does not overwhelm beyond what you can bear, but comes with a depth, a stillness that changes something within you. Imagine now, just for a moment, that the distance between heaven and earth is not as wide as it seems, that beyond what you can see, beyond what you can fully understand, there is a reality that remains steady, unshaken, eternal. A throne that does not tremble, a presence that does not fade, a God who has not moved, not even for a moment. Isaiah saw it, Ezekiel saw it, Daniel saw it, John saw it. Different times, different visions, different details, and yet all pointing to the same unchanging truth. God is still on his throne, not distant, not absent, not unaware, present, now, in this very moment. As you lie here, breathing slowly, letting go of the day, that same truth surrounds you. You may not see it with your eyes, you may not feel it in a way that is overwhelming or dramatic, but it is no less real. Heaven is not closed, it is not silent. It is nearer than you think. So allow yourself to rest in that thought, gently, without effort. Let the noise of the world continue to fade. Let your thoughts grow quieter. Let your heart become still. Because we are about to step closer, not with our eyes, but with something deeper, into the same sacred reality that those men once witnessed. And as we move forward, slowly, peacefully, you may begin to sense it. That subtle shift, that quiet awareness that you are not alone, that you have never been alone, and that the one who sits upon the throne is watching over you, even now, even here, as you rest. The temple was quiet that day, quieter than it had ever seemed before, as though even the stones themselves had fallen into a deep and solemn stillness. The great pillars rose into shadow, their surfaces flickering with the soft, unsteady glow of oil lamps, and the air was thick with the slow, curling fragrance of incense, sweet, heavy, almost tangible, like a visible prayer rising and dissolving into the unseen. Outside those walls, the city of Jerusalem breathed in grief. King Uzziah was dead. The one who had ruled for so long, who had brought order, strength, and a sense of security, was gone. And with him, something unseen but deeply felt had begun to unravel. There was a quiet trembling in the hearts of the people, a question whispered in homes and in streets. What comes next? And Isaiah walked into that silence carrying more than the sorrow of a nation. He carried the weight of years spent calling people back to God, years of watching them listen, but not truly hear, worship, but not truly surrender. He had spoken the words he was given, faithfully, persistently, and yet something had always felt incomplete. There was a distance, subtle but real, between the people and the one they claimed to follow. And perhaps, though he rarely allowed himself to admit it, he felt that distance within his own heart as well. So he stood there, in the temple, not speaking, not moving, simply present. The air felt different, dense, expectant, as though something unseen was drawing near. He may not have understood it, but his spirit felt it before his mind could form the thought. The light shifted, almost imperceptibly at first, then gradually growing brighter, not from the lamps, not from the sun, but from something beyond the natural order of things. The warmth in the room deepened, not uncomfortable, but alive, as though the very atmosphere had begun to pulse with presence. Isaiah's breath slowed, then caught. His heart began to pound, not with fear alone, but with a rising awareness, a realization that something sacred, something overwhelming was unfolding before him. His knees weakened, not by choice, but as though his body itself recognized what his mind could not yet fully grasp. And then he looked up, and everything changed. He saw the Lord, not as a distant idea, not as a symbolic vision fading at the edges, but present, real, undeniable. The throne rose before him, high and lifted up, so vast that it seemed to stretch beyond the boundaries of the temple, beyond the sky itself, reaching into something eternal and uncontainable. It was not supported by anything, not held up by pillars or foundations. It simply was, established in a way that spoke of absolute authority, absolute permanence. And the train of his robe, the flowing edge of his garment, filled the temple. It moved slowly, deliberately, like a river of presence, flowing through every corner, covering every space, leaving nothing untouched. It brushed across the altar, along the walls, into the shadows, filling everything with a quiet, undeniable weight of glory. Isaiah could not move. His breath became shallow, his body still, caught between awe and something deeper, something that began to rise within him as the reality of what he was seeing settled into his soul. Above the throne, there were beings, seraphim, radiant, burning, alive with a brilliance that seemed to come from within. They were not like anything he had ever known, not bound by the limitations of earthly form, but existing in a way that reflected the holiness they surrounded. Each had 6 wings, and even in their movement, there was no chaos, only rhythm, only order, only reverence. With 2 wings, they covered their faces, not because they were weak, but because the glory before them was too pure, too intense, even for them to gaze upon directly. With 2, they covered their feet, a gesture of humility, a quiet acknowledgement that even in their perfection, they were still created beings before the Creator. And with 2, they flew, moving through the presence of God with a grace that felt like harmony, like a living song. And they were not silent. Their voices rose, powerful, resonant, filling the temple and beyond, echoing in a way that seemed to move through both space and soul. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. The words repeated, not as empty repetition, but as a declaration that deepened with each echo, as though the truth within them could never be exhausted, never fully expressed. Holy, holy, holy. Not once, not twice, but 3 times, as if language itself was reaching for something beyond its limits, trying to express what could not be contained in a single word. And as their voices filled the space, the foundations of the temple began to tremble. The doorposts shook. The ground beneath Isaiah's feet shifted as though creation itself responded to the presence of its Creator, unable to remain still beneath the weight of such holiness. Smoke filled the temple, thick, luminous, wrapping around everything like a living veil, both revealing and concealing, drawing Isaiah deeper into the moment while reminding him that what he was witnessing was still beyond full understanding. And in that moment, something within him broke open. For the first time, truly, completely, he saw himself. Not as a prophet, not as one called to speak, not as someone set apart, but simply as he was. A man, flawed, unclean. The contrast was overwhelming. The holiness before him, pure, untouched, radiant beyond comprehension, and himself standing in its light, aware of every imperfection, every careless word, every hidden thought, every moment he had fallen short. and the weight of that realization pressed upon him with such force that he could not hold it in. "Woe is me," he cried, his voice trembling, breaking under the truth he now saw so clearly. "For I am undone." The words came not from his mind, but from deep within his soul, rising up like something long buried now brought into the light. "I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell among a people of unclean lips. And my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts." It was not just fear. It was clarity. A moment where nothing could be hidden, nothing could be softened. Everything laid bare in the presence of absolute truth. And yet, he was not destroyed. In the very moment where he expected to be undone completely, something else began to unfold. One of the seraphim moved toward him, not quickly, not violently, but with purpose, with intention. In his hand, a burning coal taken from the altar, the place where sacrifice was made, where atonement was offered. The coal glowed with an intensity that should have consumed anything it touched, radiating heat, light, power. Isaiah saw it coming, felt its presence drawing near, and yet he did not pull away. He could not. And then, gently, the seraph touched the coal to his lips. And instead of destruction, there was cleansing. Instead of pain, there was release. As though the very thing that made him feel unworthy, the very weight he had just confessed, was being lifted, removed, not by his effort, but by grace. "Behold," the seraph said, his voice calm, steady, certain. "This has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin is atoned for." And in that moment, everything changed. The weight lifted, the shame dissolved, the fear softened, replaced by something deeper, quieter, steadier. Peace. Not because Isaiah had become perfect, but because he had been made clean. And then, a voice from the throne, not loud in a way that overwhelmed, but filled with authority, with presence, with purpose. "Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" The question lingered, not forced, not demanded, but offered, inviting, calling. And Isaiah, who moments before had been undone, now stood, restored, steady, transformed by what he had seen and received. "Here I am," he said, without hesitation, without condition. "Send me." And in that response, something settled within him. He had seen the throne. He had seen holiness. He had seen himself. And he had received mercy. And now, nothing else mattered. Tonight, as you rest, perhaps there is something in this that feels familiar. Not the vision, not the temple, but the quiet awareness of your own imperfections, the things you carry, the moments you wish you could undo. If so, hear this gently. The throne is still there. The holiness has not changed, but neither has the mercy. The same God who met Isaiah meets you now, not with condemnation, but with grace. So rest, be still, and let that truth settle softly into your heart as you continue deeper into his presence. The air by the river was still that day. Not the peaceful stillness of rest, but the kind that comes when something has been lost. when the world continues to move, yet the soul feels left behind. The waters of the Chabar flowed slowly, quietly, reflecting a sky that seemed too distant, too silent, as though it no longer carried the voice of the God Ezekiel had once known so clearly. Around him, the land of Babylon stretched wide and unfamiliar, a place of foreign sounds, foreign gods, foreign lives, none of it belonging to him, none of it carrying the sacred memory of home. Ezekiel sat among the exiles, but even among them there was a loneliness that ran deeper than distance. He had been a priest, a man called to stand in the presence of God, to serve in the temple, to live within the rhythm of sacrifice and worship. His life had been shaped around something holy, something certain, something that connected earth to heaven in a way that felt real and near. But now, the temple was gone, burned, broken, reduced to memory. The altar, silent. The sacred rituals, ended. And with it, a question lingered beneath every breath, every thought. Had God left them? Perhaps he did not speak that question aloud. Perhaps he did not even allow it to fully form, but it was there. Quiet, persistent, like an echo that would not fade. The promises once spoken, the covenant once held, all of it now seemed distant, almost unreachable, like something remembered from another life. And so he sat, watching the river, letting time pass without direction, without clarity, without the presence he once knew. And then, something began to change. At first, it was subtle, a shift in the air, a tension that had not been there before, not in the ground, not in the water, but above. Ezekiel lifted his eyes toward the north, and there, on the horizon, something was forming. A cloud. But not like any cloud he had seen before. It did not drift gently. It did not move with the quiet rhythm of the sky. It gathered, thickened, churned, as though something within it was alive. The wind began to rise, not as a soft breeze, but as a force, deliberate, purposeful, sweeping across the land with a sound that carried both power and warning. The cloud grew larger, darker, and yet within it, there was light. Fire. Not the kind that consumes and destroys, but a fire that pulsed, that flickered with colors too rich to fully describe. Amber, gold, bronze, flashes of brilliance that seemed to move with intention, as though the fire itself was alive. Ezekiel watched, unable to look away. The storm did not feel chaotic. It felt directed, focused, as though it was coming, not by chance, but with purpose. And then, within the fire, shapes began to appear, forms emerging from the brilliance, living beings. They were unlike anything he had ever seen, and yet there was something within them that echoed creation itself, as though they carried within their form the essence of what had been made, and something beyond it. Each one had the appearance of a man, upright, structured, but not human. Their presence was too great, too radiant, too complete to be confined within something so familiar. And yet, there was familiarity in them, something that reflected the order of creation. Each had 4 faces, one facing forward, the face of a man, aware, steady, filled with understanding. One of a lion, powerful, fierce, carrying the quiet authority of something that does not need to prove its strength. One of an ox, grounded, enduring, steady in its purpose, unshaken. And one of an eagle, lifted, sharp, seeing beyond what others could see, moving between heaven and earth. 4 faces, in every direction. Nothing hidden, nothing beyond their sight. Their legs were straight, unmoving in their form, their feet gleaming like polished bronze, reflecting the fire that surrounded them. And beneath their wings, there were hands. Human hands, capable, intentional. As though they were not only to exist, but to act, to move, to carry out the will that guided them. Their wings stretched outward, touching one another, forming a connection, a unity that bound them together. And when they moved, the sound filled the air, like rushing waters, like a river in flood, like something vast and uncontainable moving through the world. Yet there was no chaos in their movement, no confusion, no hesitation. When one moved, they all moved. Forward, without turning, without shifting, as though direction itself bent to their will, or rather, to the will that guided them. And beside each of them, there was a wheel. At first, it seemed simple. But the longer Ezekiel looked, the more impossible it became. The wheels were vast, towering, their rims high and gleaming, shining like precious stone. But their form defied understanding. Each wheel was within another, intersecting, crossing in a way that allowed movement in any direction without turning, without adjusting, without delay. Forward, backward, sideways, anywhere, everywhere. And their rims were filled with eyes, eyes that covered them completely, countless, watching, seeing, aware, nothing hidden, nothing missed. Ezekiel felt it, not just as something he saw, but something he knew. This was not blind movement. This was awareness, complete, unbroken, absolute. Every moment, every action, every hidden thought, seen, known, held within that gaze. And the wheels moved with the living beings, not following, not leading, but united. When the creatures moved, the wheels moved. When they rose, the wheels rose, as though the same spirit, the same life, the same purpose existed within them both. And then, above them, there was an expanse, stretching wide like a vast crystal dome, clear, radiant, separating what was below from what was above. It shimmered, alive with light, yet still, perfectly still, as though it marked the boundary of something sacred. And above the expanse, a throne. It shone like sapphire, deep, rich, carrying a color that felt like the sky beyond the sky, something eternal, something unchanging. And upon the throne, a figure. Not fully defined, not limited, but with the appearance of a man. From the waist up, glowing like molten metal, radiant, burning with a light that seemed to come from within. From the waist down, fire, alive, moving, surrounding the throne in a presence that was both powerful and beautiful. And around him, a radiance, a circle of light like a rainbow, soft yet brilliant, a reminder of something deeper, something ancient, something that spoke not only of power but of promise. And Ezekiel could not stand. The weight of what he saw, the reality of it, pressed upon him until his strength gave way. He fell, face down, not only in fear, but in awe, in surrender, in the recognition that what he was witnessing was beyond anything human understanding could hold. And in that moment, everything became clear. God had not left. He had not been confined to a temple, to a city, to a land. He was here, in Babylon, among the exiles. among the broken. The throne had never been lost. The presence had never been gone. It had only been unseen. And then a voice from above the expanse, deep, steady, like the sound of many waters. Son of man, stand on your feet, and I will speak with you. And though Ezekiel had no strength of his own, the Spirit entered him, lifted him, held him, until he stood once more, trembling, overwhelmed, but standing, and knowing that the wheels were still turning, the eyes were still watching, and the God of all creation was still present, even here. The night in Babylon was quiet, but it was not the kind of quiet that brings rest. It was the kind that lingers, that settles deep into the bones, the kind that leaves a man alone with his thoughts long after the world has fallen asleep. And Daniel lay there, awake, his eyes open in the darkness, his mind heavy with things too vast to fully understand. He had lived a long life in this foreign land, longer than he had ever imagined when he was first taken from his home. As a young man, he had been carried away from Jerusalem, from everything familiar, everything sacred, everything that once defined who he was. And yet, through all the years, through the rise and fall of kings, through shifting empires and uncertain futures, he had remained faithful. He had prayed, even when it was dangerous. He had trusted, even when it made no sense. He had stood firm, even when everything around him changed. And still, there were questions. Because Daniel had seen things, visions that did not leave him easily, dreams that lingered long after waking, images of kingdoms rising, kingdoms falling, power shifting like sand beneath the feet of men who believed themselves unshakable. He had seen enough to know that history was not random, that something greater was unfolding, something directed, something written beyond human hands. And yet, knowing did not always bring peace. That night, as he lay there, the weight of it pressed upon him. The future was not simple. It was not gentle. It carried conflict, uncertainty, things that would shake nations and test the hearts of many. And Daniel, though faithful, though chosen, was still human, still capable of fear, still capable of wondering how it would all unfold. And as his thoughts moved between memory and uncertainty, something began to shift. His breathing slowed. The room around him seemed to fade, not disappearing but softening, as though it were no longer the center of what was happening. The boundary between waking and something deeper, something unseen, began to thin. And then he saw. Not with his eyes alone, but with something deeper, something within him that recognized what his mind could not yet fully grasp. A vast sea, dark, endless, its waters churning, rising and falling in restless motion, not calm, not still, but alive with chaos. Waves crashed against one another, driven by a force that seemed both powerful and uncontrolled. It was not peaceful. It was not quiet. It was the kind of sea that carried uncertainty, danger, the sense that anything could rise from its depths. And from that sea, something began to emerge. Shapes, forming, rising upward from the chaos. The first, like a lion, strong, majestic, yet with wings like an eagle, lifted, powerful, moving with a strange and unsettling grace. It rose from the water, shaking off the sea, and for a moment it stood in its full strength. But then, something changed. Its wings were torn away, and it was made to stand like a man. Its power altered, its nature shifted. Then another, a second beast, like a bear, heavy, massive, raised up on one side as though uneven, yet unstoppable. In its mouth, ribs, the remains of what it had consumed. It moved slowly, but with a force that could not be resisted, devouring everything in its path. And then, a third, like a leopard, swift, agile, but unlike any leopard of the earth, it had 4 wings and 4 heads. Its movement was rapid, almost impossible to follow, spreading its reach across the earth with speed and precision. And then, the 4th, and this one was different. There were no words to fully describe it. It was terrifying, dreadful, its strength beyond anything Daniel had seen before. It had teeth of iron, crushing, devouring, leaving nothing untouched. Its feet trampled everything that remained, breaking, destroying, leaving behind only fragments of what once was. And upon its head, 10 horns, symbols of power, of authority, of something that extended beyond a single moment in time. Daniel watched, his heart pounding, his spirit shaken by what he was seeing. These were not just creatures. They were kingdoms, powers, forces that would rise and fall, shaping the course of human history in ways that felt overwhelming, unstoppable. And then, everything changed. The scene shifted, the chaos paused, and thrones were set in place. Not one, but many, arranged with purpose, with order, as though a great court was being prepared. A place of judgment, a place where decisions would be made, not by the chaos of the sea, not by the power of beasts, but by something far greater. And then, he appeared, the Ancient of Days. Daniel could not look away, though every part of him felt the weight of what he was witnessing. His clothing, white as snow, not the white of fabric, but the white of purity, absolute, untainted, beyond anything earthly. His hair, like pure wool, radiant, carrying the quiet wisdom of eternity itself. And his throne was fire. Not symbolic, not imagined. Real, burning, alive with a flame that did not consume, but revealed. The fire moved, flickered, yet remained steady, as though it was both power and presence at once. And the wheels of the throne burned with that same fire, moving, alive, not fixed, not bound. A throne that could go anywhere, see everything, reach every corner of creation without limitation. From before him, a river flowed, a river of fire, bright, brilliant, pouring outward, cascading like light-made liquid, carrying with it the sense that everything it touched would be revealed, refined, made known. And surrounding him were thousands upon thousands, 10,000 times 10,000, standing, waiting, serving. Their number beyond counting, their presence filling the space with a quiet, reverent stillness. Not chaos, not noise, but order, purpose, alignment with the one who sat upon the throne. And then the books were opened. Not one, but many, great volumes, containing everything, every action, every word, every thought, nothing forgotten, nothing overlooked, everything recorded, held, remembered. Daniel felt it deeply. This was not random. Nothing was random. Every moment of history, every rise and fall, every hidden act, every quiet choice, all of it was known. All of it mattered. And as the books were opened, judgment began. The fourth beast, the most terrible, was destroyed. Its power taken, its body given over, consumed by the fire. The others allowed to remain for a time, but their dominion stripped away. Their power, temporary. Their authority, limited, because something greater was coming. And then Daniel saw him, coming with the clouds of heaven, one like a son of man, not a beast, not a force of destruction, but a figure, human in form, yet carrying a glory that could not belong to any ordinary man. He came before the Ancient of Days and was presented before him, and to him was given dominion, glory, a kingdom, that all peoples, all nations, all languages should serve him. A kingdom that would not pass away, a dominion that would never end. Daniel watched, overwhelmed, his heart trembling, his mind struggling to hold what he was seeing. This was the answer, not chaos, not the beasts, not the rise and fall of power, but a king, an eternal king. And in that moment, something settled. The fear did not vanish completely. The weight of the vision remained, but beneath it, there was something else, a deeper truth. The throne remained. The Ancient of Days was still seated. The fire still burned. The books were still open. And the future was not in the hands of chaos, but in the hands of the one who had always ruled. Tonight, as you rest, perhaps there are things that feel uncertain, things beyond your control, moments that feel like waves rising and falling without direction. If so, remember this. The throne has not moved. The Ancient of Days is still there, and the story is still unfolding, exactly as it should. So breathe slowly and rest, knowing that beyond everything you see, there is a kingdom that cannot be shaken, and a king who reigns forever. The island of Patmos was not a place of comfort, not a place of warmth or welcome, but a place of separation, a place where voices faded into silence, where memories echoed louder than the present, where the wind and the waves became the only companions left. The land itself was rough, broken stone stretching beneath an open sky, surrounded on all sides by the endless expanse of the sea. And there, on that quiet, forgotten island, John remained. He was old now. His body carried the years, his hands no longer steady as they once were, his steps slower, more deliberate. But it was not age alone that weighed upon him. It was memory. The faces of those who had walked beside him, now gone. One by one, they had given their lives, their voices silenced, their journeys completed in ways that were both painful and sacred. Peter, Paul, James, so many others. The world they had known, the days they had shared, now lived only within him. And yet, he remained, a witness, the last of those who had walked with Jesus, who had heard his voice, who had seen his face, who had stood at the foot of the cross and watched as love was poured out in its fullest measure. Now, he stood alone. The early believers were scattered, hunted, afraid. The empire pressed down upon them, demanding loyalty, demanding worship, offering no space for the quiet, unwavering faith they carried within. And John refused to bow, refused to turn away. And for that, he was sent here, to Patmos, removed from the world, as though silence could erase what he knew to be true. But truth does not fade in isolation, and presence does not disappear with distance. It was the Lord's Day, a day that once would have been filled with voices, with gathering, with shared bread and shared hope. But here, there were no songs, no fellowship, no familiar faces. Only the sound of waves meeting the shore again and again, steady, unchanging, like a quiet rhythm that marked the passing of time. John stood there, perhaps looking out across the water, perhaps remembering, perhaps praying, not with many words, but with a heart that had learned to remain faithful even in silence. And then, something broke through. A voice behind him, clear, strong like a trumpet, not distant, not faint, but immediate, present, impossible to ignore. Write what you see and send it to the churches. John turned, his heart quickened, not with fear alone, but with recognition, something deep within him responding before his mind could fully understand. And there, before him, stood one like a son of man, clothed in a long robe, a golden sash across his chest, his presence radiant, unmistakable. His hair white like wool, not aged but pure, luminous, reflecting something eternal. His eyes like flames of fire, seeing, knowing, nothing hidden from their gaze. His feet like bronze refined in a furnace, steady, unshakable, grounded in something beyond this world. And his voice like the sound of many waters, deep, powerful, familiar. John knew that voice. He had heard it before, on quiet shores, along dusty roads, in moments both simple and profound. It was the voice that had called him, that had taught him, that had spoken peace into storms and life into the lifeless. It was Jesus, but not as he had known him before. This was not the teacher walking among men, not the one who sat at tables and broke bread, not the one who bore suffering in silence. This was the risen Christ, the glorified King, the one who had overcome death, who stood beyond time, beyond suffering, beyond all that once seemed final. And John could not stand. He fell at his feet as though all strength had left him, as though the weight of glory before him was too great to bear. And then, a touch, gentle, steady, a hand placed upon him. Fear not. The words came not as command, but as comfort. I am the first and the last, the living one. I died, and behold, I am alive forevermore. And in that moment, fear gave way to something deeper, recognition, peace, and then an invitation. Come up here, and I will show you what must take place. And suddenly, everything changed. The island, the wind, the sea, all of it faded, not disappearing, but becoming distant, as though it no longer held him. He was in the Spirit, standing before something he had never seen before. A door in heaven, open, not closed, not hidden, but open, wide, inviting. Light poured through it, not harsh, not blinding, but warm, radiant, drawing him forward without force, without hesitation. And beyond that door, the throne. It stood at the center, unshaken, unchanging, surrounded by a presence that filled everything. The one seated upon it, beyond full description, yet radiant like precious stones, like light captured in form, shimmering with colors that seemed alive. And around the throne, a rainbow. Not faint, not distant, but encircling it completely. a ring of light, soft, green like emerald, a reminder, a promise that mercy remained, even here, even in glory. Surrounding the throne, 24 others, elders, clothed in white, pure, radiant, crowns upon their heads, yet their posture was not prideful, not elevated, but humble. Again and again they rose, casting their crowns down, surrendering what they had been given, offering it back to the one who gave it. Worthy are you. Their voices joined together, not forced but flowing, natural like breath. Worthy are you to receive glory and honor and power. And from the throne, flashes of light, lightning, thunder, not distant but near, alive, the voice of authority, the sound of something that cannot be challenged, cannot be shaken. Before the throne, 7 flames, burning, steady, the fullness of God's Spirit, present, complete. And there, before it all, a sea. Not like the sea John had known, not restless, not moving, not chaotic, but still, perfectly still. Clear, like glass, like crystal. A reflection of peace, complete, untouched. The end of all striving, the end of all storms. And around the throne, 4 living creatures, familiar yet overwhelming. A lion, an ox, a man, an eagle, each with wings, each covered in eyes, seeing, knowing, never ceasing. And they sang, without stopping, without pause. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. The same song, the same truth, echoing across time, across visions, across generations. And as they sang, the elders fell again and again, worship rising like a tide, endless, complete. And John stood there, not preaching, not remembering, but seeing and understanding. The throne was not distant, heaven was not silent. The door was open. Tonight, as you rest, that door is not closed. The throne remains, the song continues, and the one who called John still calls, gently, softly. Come up here. So breathe slowly and rest, knowing you are never alone. There are moments, as we move deeper into this vision, when the images begin to feel less like separate scenes and more like pieces of something greater, something woven together with intention, each detail carrying meaning that reaches beyond what the eyes alone can see. And now, as your breathing remains slow, as your body rests more deeply, we step into that place of understanding, not with effort, not with analysis, but gently, allowing the meaning to unfold like light spreading across still water. The throne remains at the center, always, unmoving, unshaken, untouched by the chaos that surrounds it. And around the throne, the living creatures continue to move, to see, to sing, just as they have from the beginning. Perhaps at first they seemed strange, unfamiliar, almost difficult to comprehend. But now, as you rest within the rhythm of this story, their presence begins to soften, to become something more, something that speaks not only of heaven, but of truth. The first, like a lion, strong, steady, carrying a quiet authority that does not need to be proven. The lion does not rush, does not question, does not doubt. It simply is. a presence that commands without striving. And in this, there is a reflection, a glimpse of kingship, of sovereignty, of the truth that the one on the throne rules not with uncertainty, but with perfect authority. Nothing challenges him. Nothing surprises him. Nothing stands beyond his reach. The second, like an ox, grounded, patient, enduring. The ox does not seek glory, does not demand recognition. It serves, quietly, faithfully, carrying burdens without complaint. And here, within this image, there is something gentle, something deeply comforting, because the one who reigns also serves. The one who holds all power also chooses humility. There is no distance between strength and gentleness in him. They exist together, perfectly, without conflict. The third, with the face of a man, familiar, close, known. The face that reflects understanding, compassion, the ability to see, to feel, to connect. This is the reminder, soft and steady, that the God upon the throne is not distant or unfeeling. He knows. He understands. He sees every quiet thought, every hidden fear, every unspoken longing. There is nothing within you that is unknown to him, and nothing that turns him away. And the fourth, like an eagle, lifted high, moving through the heavens, seeing far beyond what others can see. The eagle does not remain bound to the ground. It rises, carried by currents unseen, moving with freedom, with clarity, with vision. And in this, there is transcendence. The reminder that God is not limited, not confined, not restricted by what we understand. He sees the beginning and the end, the path and its purpose, all at once. 4 faces, 4 reflections, not separate but united. Together they reveal something deeper, something whole, something complete. Power, service, compassion, transcendence. And as the living creatures move, as they sing, these truths are not spoken once, but continuously woven into the rhythm of heaven itself. Holy, holy, holy. The words do not fade. They do not lose meaning. They do not grow old. Because holiness is not something that can be exhausted. It is not a single moment or a single attribute. It is the essence, the foundation, the core of everything that is. And as the sound continues, soft and steady, it begins to settle into you, not as something overwhelming, but as something calming, something grounding. God is holy, and because he is holy, he is trustworthy. Because he is holy, he is unchanging. Because he is holy, you are safe. Now, beneath and around the living creatures, there is movement. The wheels. At first, they seemed complex, almost impossible to understand, but now, in the stillness of this moment, their meaning begins to unfold. They turn, continuously, effortlessly, moving in every direction without hesitation, forward, backward, side to side. There is no delay, no confusion, no need to adjust. And upon their rims, eyes, countless eyes, watching, seeing, aware. This is not movement without purpose. This is not direction without understanding. This is the reminder, gentle but certain, that nothing is unseen. Nothing is outside the awareness of God. Every moment of your life, every quiet struggle, every unseen act of kindness, every tear that no one else notices, all of it is seen. All of it matters. The wheels turn, not randomly, but with intention, guided by the Spirit, always. There is no moment where they stop, no moment where they lose direction. And in this, there is something deeply comforting. Because it means that even when life feels uncertain, even when things seem to move without meaning, there is still a direction, still a purpose, still a guiding presence beneath it all. You may not always see it. You may not always understand it. But it is there, steady, unbroken, unfailing. The wheels are still turning. The eyes are still watching. The Spirit is still guiding. And then there is something else. Before the throne, stretching out in stillness, the sea. Not the restless sea of the world, not the waves that rise and fall, not the chaos that unsettles the heart, but a sea of glass, clear, calm, unmoving, like crystal, perfectly still. As though every storm has already passed, every wave already calmed, every disturbance brought into rest. And as you imagine it now, as you allow that image to form gently in your mind, you may begin to feel something shift within you, the tension easing, the breath deepening, the mind quieting. Because this sea is not just a place, it is a promise, a reflection of what is to come, a reminder that the chaos you feel, the uncertainty, the questions, are not the final reality. Peace is, stillness is, rest is. And in the presence of the throne, that peace is complete. Nothing disturbs it. Nothing breaks it. Nothing takes it away. And as the light from the throne reflects across that glass-like surface, soft, steady, endless, it creates a sense of calm that reaches deeper than thought, deeper than understanding, a calm that simply is. And now, as all of this comes together, the throne, the living creatures, the wheels, the sea, it is no longer a collection of images. It is a revelation, a truth that settles quietly into your heart. God is not distant. He is not unaware. He is not absent. He is present, fully, completely, right now. And you are not outside of that presence. You are within it, held, seen, known. So breathe slowly. Let your body remain soft. Let your mind rest. And allow this truth, this quiet, steady truth, to settle deeper and deeper within you. The throne remains. The song continues. The peace is real. And you are safe here in His presence. As we continue gently deeper into this unfolding vision, there's a sense that everything you have seen so far is beginning to come together, not as separate moments, but as one continuous truth. One quiet revelation that does not rush, does not overwhelm, but slowly settles into the heart like a soft light spreading across a still horizon. The throne remains, always at the center, unmoved, unshaken, untouched by time, by change, by the rising and falling of all things around it. And as you rest here, breathing slowly, you begin to notice again the movement surrounding it. Not chaotic, not uncertain, but steady, purposeful, complete. The wheels continue to turn, gently, endlessly, without strain. They do not rush forward in urgency. They do not pause in confusion. They do not hesitate or search for direction. They move as though direction itself is already known, already held, already fulfilled before the movement even begins. And as they turn, you begin to sense something deeper within them, something that speaks to the quiet questions that often rise within you. The questions about where life is going, about what is unfolding, about whether there is meaning in the moments that feel unclear. Because there are times, perhaps many times, when life feels like a series of movements without pattern, days that pass without clarity, moments that feel disconnected, paths that seem to bend without explanation. And in those moments, it can feel as though everything is uncertain, as though direction has been lost. But here, in this vision, the wheels reveal something different. They do not wander, they do not search, they do not struggle to find their way. They move because they already know, or rather, because they are already aligned with the one who knows. And that alignment, that quiet, perfect unity, removes all confusion. They move forward without needing to turn. They move in every direction without losing their path, because the Spirit is within them, guiding, directing, holding every movement within purpose. And as you rest with that thought, gently, without effort, something begins to soften within you. The need to understand everything, the need to control what comes next, the quiet tension that comes from uncertainty begins to loosen, just slightly. Because if the wheels are still turning, if the Spirit is still guiding, then perhaps, even when you cannot see the path, it is still there, still held, still known, still unfolding exactly as it should. And upon the rims of the wheels, the eyes remain, countless, unblinking, seeing, but not in a way that brings fear, not in a way that exposes or condemns, but in a way that gently reassures. Nothing is hidden, nothing is missed. Not the moments when you feel strong, and not the moments when you feel weak. Not the times when everything seems clear, and not the times when nothing makes sense. Every detail, every quiet thought, every hidden emotion, seen, known, held. And there is something deeply comforting in that, because it means you are not overlooked. You are not forgotten. Even in the smallest moments, even in the quiet spaces where no one else sees, you are known completely. The wheels continue to move. The creatures remain in perfect unity, and the Spirit flows through it all, unseen, yet unmistakable. And now, gently, your awareness is drawn once more to the stillness. Because while the movement continues, there is also something that does not move at all. The sea of glass, stretching out before the throne, clear, calm, untouched by disturbance. No waves, no ripples, no rising or falling. Only stillness. Perfect, complete, unbroken stillness. And as you allow that image to form softly in your mind, something within you begins to respond. Because this is not just an image. It is a promise, a reflection of what remains when all striving ends, when all tension is released, when all questions finally come to rest. The storms you have known, the thoughts that have moved through your mind, the emotions that rise and fall like waves, none of them exist here. Here, there is only peace. And not a fragile peace, not something that can be disrupted, but a deep, unshakable peace that does not depend on circumstances, that does not change with time. It simply is. And as the light from the throne reflects across that still surface, it creates a quiet beauty, something soft, something steady, something that seems to invite you not to understand, but to enter, to rest, to release, to let go. Because this peace is not something you have to create. It is something you are allowed to receive, something that has always been present, always been waiting, even in the midst of movement, even in the midst of uncertainty. And now, as the movement of the wheels and the stillness of the sea exist together, side by side, you begin to see something even deeper. They are not in conflict. They do not oppose one another. They belong together. Because life holds both. Movement and stillness. Change and peace. The unfolding and the completion. And above it all, the throne remains. The presence remains. Unchanged, unmoved, steady beyond everything else. And as this truth begins to settle, gently, deeply, you may begin to feel something shift within your own body. Your breathing, slower now. Your muscles, softer, more relaxed. Your thoughts, quieter, less urgent, drifting like distant echoes rather than pressing close. Because you no longer need to hold everything. You no longer need to carry the weight of understanding. You are allowed to rest. Here, in this moment, in this presence. The wheels continue to turn. The eyes continue to see. The spirit continues to guide. The sea remains still. And the throne remains unshaken, always. And you are not outside of this. You are within it, held gently, completely, seen fully, without judgment, known without needing to explain yourself. So let yourself rest a little deeper now. Let your body sink just a little more. Let your breath flow, slow, steady, effortless. And allow this truth, this quiet, steady truth to carry you into stillness, into peace, into rest. As we move now, even deeper, there is a quiet sense that everything you have seen, everything you have felt, is gently settling into something whole. Not something you need to understand all at once, not something you need to hold tightly, but something that begins to surround you like a soft presence, steady, unchanging, real. The throne remains. It has always remained. And as your breathing slows, as your body rests more completely, you begin to notice something subtle, something that was always there, yet now feels closer, more personal. The nearness of it all. Not distant, not unreachable, but near, closer than you thought. Because as the visions unfold, as the symbols deepen, they are no longer only about what was seen long ago. They begin to speak into this moment, into where you are, into what you carry. The living creatures still surround the throne. Their movement has not ceased. Their song has not faded. Holy, holy, holy. It continues, not loudly, not in a way that overwhelms, but like a steady rhythm beneath everything, like a heartbeat that has always been there, always will be. And now, as you listen, not with your ears, but with something deeper, you may begin to feel it. that quiet rhythm, that steady truth. God is holy. And because He is holy, everything else finds its place. Everything else becomes steady. The lion, still present. Strength, authority, a reminder that nothing you face is beyond His power. The ox, still present. Gentleness, service, a reminder that He does not stand far away but comes close, carries, supports. The face of a man, still present. Understanding, compassion, the quiet truth that He knows what it is to feel, to carry, to walk through what you walk through. And the eagle, still present, lifted high, seeing beyond, holding a perspective that is not limited by what you can see. All of it, together, not separate, not divided, a complete picture of who He is. And as that truth settles, it does not ask anything from you. It does not demand that you respond or strive or prove anything. It simply is. And you are allowed to rest within it. Now, gently, your awareness returns once more to the movement, the wheels, still turning, always turning. But now, they feel different. Not complex, not overwhelming, but calming. Because their movement is not rushed. It is not uncertain. It is steady, consistent, faithful. And as they turn, there is a quiet reassurance within them that life is not slipping out of control, that things are not falling apart beyond repair, that even when it feels uncertain, there is still a direction, still a purpose, still a path being held, being guided, even when you cannot see it. And the eyes upon the wheels, still watching, still seeing. But now, perhaps, it feels less like something observing from a distance and more like something caring, something aware, something present. You are seen, not in judgment, but in understanding, not in distance, but in closeness. Every part of you known, every moment held. And as that truth settles, something within you begins to soften even more. Because there is no need to hide, no need to hold yourself together, no need to carry everything alone. You are already seen, already known, already held. Now, gently, your awareness shifts again, back toward the stillness. The sea of glass. And this time, as you imagine it, it feels even more real, more present, more inviting. Stretching out before you, endless, clear, calm. No waves, no movement, no disturbance, only stillness. And as you look at it, even in your mind, you may begin to feel that stillness moving toward you, gently, quietly, like something reaching out, not to take, but to give rest, to give peace, to give a place where everything can finally settle. And as that stillness draws near, your breathing becomes even slower, even softer. Your body, heavier now, more relaxed, supported without effort. Your thoughts, quieter, drifting further apart, like stars in a wide, open sky. Because this peace is not fragile. It is not something that can be broken. It is not something you have to protect. It is something you are allowed to enter and remain within. And as the light from the throne reflects across that sea, soft, steady, endless, it carries with it a quiet truth, one that does not need to be spoken loudly, because it is already known deep within. You are safe. Not because everything around you is perfect, but because the one who holds everything is. The throne has not moved. The presence has not changed. The peace has not been taken away. And you are within it. Now, as everything settles, the movement, the stillness, the light, the presence, all of it begins to feel less like something outside of you and more like something you are resting within. Not separate, not distant, but held gently, completely. And there is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to become, nothing you need to fix. Only to rest, to breathe, to allow yourself to sink a little deeper into that quiet place where everything is already held, already known, already at peace. The song continues, soft, steady, holy, holy, holy. The wheels continue to turn, the eyes continue to see, the sea remains still, and the throne remains unshaken. Always. So stay here now, just a little longer. Let the stillness deepen. Let the quiet surround you. Let your breathing soften even more. And allow yourself, gently, effortlessly, to drift into rest. Now, as everything becomes quieter, softer, more still, we enter a place not of effort, but of receiving. A place where the mind no longer needs to search, where the heart no longer needs to strive, where the soul is simply allowed to rest, gently, deeply, in truth that does not change. Breathe slowly now. Inhale, calm and steady, and exhale, long and soft. Let each breath carry you further away from the weight of the day, further away from the noise, the thoughts, the unfinished things, and into a space where everything begins to settle. And as you rest, let these words come to you, not as something to analyze, not as something to hold tightly, but like a quiet stream flowing gently, naturally, through your mind and into your heart. God is on his throne. He has not moved. He has not changed. Through every moment, through every season, through every uncertainty, he remains exactly where he has always been, steady, unshaken, present. And because he remains, you are not drifting. You are not lost. You are not outside his care. You are held, even now. Let that truth settle, slowly, deeply, like something warm resting gently over your heart. Breathe again, and as you breathe, allow another truth to rise, quiet, steady, unchanging. God sees you. Not just the surface, not just what others notice, but everything. Every thought, every feeling, every quiet moment that no one else knows. He sees the strength you carry and the tiredness beneath it. He sees the things you say and the things you keep inside. He sees the questions, the doubts, the hopes, the longing. Nothing is hidden from him. and nothing about you turns him away. You are fully seen and still fully loved. Let your shoulders relax. Let your body soften just a little more. You do not need to hide here. You do not need to hold everything together. You are safe. Breathe slowly and let this truth come next, gently, like a whisper that has always been there. Nothing is out of his control. Even when life feels uncertain, even when things do not make sense, even when the path ahead is unclear, the throne remains. The wheels are still turning. The Spirit is still guiding. There is a direction, even when you cannot see it. There is a purpose, even when you cannot feel it. There is a plan, even when you do not understand it. And you are not walking through it alone. God walks with you, quietly, faithfully, every step, every moment. Let your breath slow even more. Inhale and exhale. And as you continue resting, allow another truth to settle. Soft, steady, comforting. You are not alone. Not in the silence, not in the darkness, not in the moments when everything feels still and uncertain. He is there, closer than you think, closer than your breath, closer than your thoughts. You may not always feel it, you may not always notice it, but his presence does not depend on your awareness. It remains, constant, gentle, unchanging, right here, with you, now. Let that awareness wrap around you like a quiet covering, like something warm, something safe, something that holds you without effort. Breathe, and as you breathe, let your thoughts begin to drift, like clouds in a quiet sky, coming and going, without needing your attention, without needing to be followed. You do not need to hold on to them. You do not need to solve them. Just let them pass and return, softly, to this truth. God is here, and you are safe. Let your body grow heavier. Let your mind become quieter. Let your heart rest. Because there is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to fix, nothing you need to carry into this moment. Everything can be released, gently, slowly, into his hands. He is able to hold it. He is able to carry it. You do not have to. Breathe slowly. And as your breathing becomes softer, deeper, more natural, allow this final truth to settle, not in your mind, but deeper, in the quiet place within you. You are loved, not because of what you have done, not because of what you will do, but because he has chosen to love you fully, completely, without condition. A love that does not fade, a love that does not change, a love that remains, even in your weakest moments, even in your quietest moments, even now, as you rest. You are loved. Let that be enough. Let that be what carries you. And now, as the words begin to slow, as the spaces between them grow wider, softer, quieter, allow yourself to drift, gently, effortlessly, into deeper rest. Let your breathing guide you, slow, steady, calm. Let your body remain heavy, supported, completely at ease. Let your mind grow quiet, like a still night sky, and let your heart remain here, resting in peace. God is on his throne. God is with you. God is holding you. And you can rest, now and always. Now, as everything gently comes to rest, as the images soften and the words begin to fade into a quiet stillness, we arrive at the end of this journey, not as a stopping point, but as a place of peace, a place where your body can fully relax and your soul can simply be held. There is nothing more you need to follow, nothing more you need to understand. Only this moment, calm, quiet, and safe. So breathe slowly. Inhale, soft and deep, and exhale, long and gentle. Let your body sink deeper. Let your mind grow still. Let your heart rest. And now, gently, we turn toward a quiet prayer, not spoken with urgency, but with softness, like a whisper carried through the night. Father, as this day comes to an end and your presence surrounds us, we place everything into your hands. Every thought, every worry, every burden we have carried. We release them now, gently, completely, because you are able to hold what we cannot. You are the one who watches over us, even as we sleep, the one who does not grow tired, the one who does not turn away. So tonight, we rest in you. Let your peace settle over every part of us, over our minds, over our bodies, over our hearts. Let every anxious thought be quieted. Let every tension be released. Let every fear soften and fade. And in its place, let there be peace, a deep, steady, unshakable peace. The kind of peace that does not depend on circumstances, the kind of peace that remains because you remain. Watch over us through the night. Hold us in your care, and let our sleep be gentle, restoring, full of quiet rest. We trust you. We rest in you. We are safe in you. And now, as the prayer settles like soft light fading into the horizon, allow yourself to remain in this stillness. There is no need to move, no need to think, only to rest. May peace remain with you. May calm surround you. May your heart stay quiet and steady, held within the presence of God. And as sleep begins to draw closer, slowly, gently, like a soft tide rising in the night, let yourself drift. Let your breathing guide you. Slow, steady, effortless. If your mind begins to wander, simply return softly to the stillness, to the quiet truth that remains. God is with you. God is holding you. God is watching over you. And you are safe. Now, rest. And if your mind wakes again, even for a moment, do not resist it. Simply return gently to this place, to this peace, to this quiet story that continues to hold you. Let us remain here, in stillness, in calm, in rest. And as sleep carries you deeper, beyond thought, beyond awareness, rest in this final whisper. In Jesus' loving name, Amen.